Hi viewers, you are watching Ben's Academy, and in today's lecture series on basic calculus, you are going to be watching, I'm going to be taking you on rules of differentiation, rule number 4. And rule number 4 is the product rule. So if you are ready, we start. The product rule. Product rule. Product rule of differentiation. Now, we must first understand what is meant by product of two functions or three functions before we now dive into product rule. Now, the product function or product of two functions is when one function is multiplying another. Take for example, if the first function is x to the power 4 and the second function is sine x. Now I can multiply these two functions, and if I do that, I'll have another function x to the power 4 sine x. Now because I have combined the two functions x to the power 4 and sine x through multiplication, I now get a new one. This new one now is called product function, because it's the product of x to the power 4 and sine x. Also, if I have y equal to x squared minus 1 as the first function, I can multiply this by another function, maybe 2x to the power 5 plus 3. Because I have times this function by this other function, what I now have is product of two functions. I can also multiply three functions and get product of three functions. But we shall confine our attention to product of two functions. So we want to look at, or want to learn how to differentiate product of two functions. Having identified a function as product function, we want to learn how to differentiate them. Now, the rule of differentiation that will guide us on how to differentiate product of two functions is called the product rule. And what does it state? It states that if y is equal to u and the second function v, that is product of two functions, where u and v are functions of x, where u and v are functions of x, then the product rule states that dy dx will be equal to u dv dx plus v du dx. So that is what the product rule states. So here you must write u first, then differentiate the second function, plus write the second function down and differentiate the first function, and that gives you your product rule. We can write this in terms of prime. I can write this as y prime is equal to u v prime, because y prime means dy dx. So I have u. Since I have dv dx, I can write this as v prime plus v. Again, I have du dx, I can write this as u prime. And so what I have there is another version or another formula, the same formula but in terms of prime. So they are all product of two functions. So we want to take an example to illustrate how to make use of this particular formula to differentiate product function. Alright, we'll take an example now to illustrate how to do that. The first example is this example. I want to differentiate the following functions. Following functions. We have the first one is y equal to x to the power 4 minus 1 into x to the power 3 plus 4. The second one is y is equal to x to the power 3